Hi, hello everyone, my name is Jer, and today we are talking about my top 10 favorite looks from Drag Race All-Stars Season 7, the All-Winners season. We just finished this season for my Drag Race podcast, and there are a bunch of videos that are coming out this week in accordance with that podcast. So if you want to check those out, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and keep an eye out on my channel for those. We are going to be jumping in to my 10 favorite looks were from this season, as I typically do for every one of the seasons that I've been going through chronologically. I will preemptively say this list is almost entirely Raja. So if you came here for a lot of variety, this one you're not gonna get it. Just gonna be honest. I want to give a couple shout outs specifically to Jada's What Lies Beneath looks. I think all four of those were so smooth in their transition. Interesting idea. And I also want to shout out the Vivienne's jacket look, that padded one, where it was just the biggest shoulder pads that existed in history. And I think that look kind of lives on in perpetuity and is such a solid silhouette for her. But let's get into this, and remember, if your favorite look did not reach this list, it doesn't mean I thought it was bad. It just wasn't in my top 10 looks, and it certainly did not beat out what I think Roger did this season, because they really knocked it out of the park. I think that's undeniable. Without any further stalling, let's get on in. In the number 10 spot is Raja's entrance look. I love every single bit of this because it is a throwback to that original workroom entrance look. And we were really robbed in All-Star 7 of them not doing those flash side-by-sides where they show the original workroom entrance and then the current one, so you can kind of see the glow up. Because Raja and Jinx both did tributes to their original entrance looks. Raja doing the eye look, that purple people eater one that she did in 3, and then Jinx basically did the exact same bodysuit with a robe over it in a floral print. And I wish that they had shown the side-by-sides because we deserved that, I think, as an audience. A lot of the other queens didn't do that. They just did an interpretation of what their drag is now. What I love about this one is the homage. I love an homage and a tribute to something you've done on Drag Race already. Like, I loved when Phoenix did the prison honey look. I think that moments like that are fun. It brings a little more of a spotlight to the fact that they're on TV, brings a little more fourth wall breaking in a way that a lot of queens don't often do. Or if they do it, they overdo it. Like, I'm thinking about Monet doing the sponges in All Stars 4, or Brown Cow Stunning. I'm thinking about the way that Jan referenced herself a little too much. And I love that Raja just did this very subtle entrance coming in. Did someone call for an icon? This is a stunning entrance look. It's a solid way to bring yourself into the competition and show, I'm Raja motherfucking Gemini. I'm gonna give you an updated version of what I gave you in 3 because I won that for a reason. In the number 9 spot, we have Trinity's Realness of Fortune Eleganza look. I put this in my top 10 among many of Trinity's other looks that were really solid, and I love them. I think they're great representations of who Trinity is as a drag performer. But what I love about this, and I'll get into this very soon with Raja, is that a lot of queens come onto the show with a specific fashion POV, and they have this impossibility to connect their at-home brought from their suitcase fashion and be able to replicate that in some way, even when they are given the best of materials, like they were actually given fabrics to work with here. Queens often can't replicate their style. They can't take whatever their brand is and bring that to the runway. And Trinity is this excellent example of someone who knows what her drag looks like in her head. It's big, it's showgirl, it's Floridian, it's pageant. And she's able to take all of that inspiration and put that into her hands and create something. There are fashion girls across the seasons who cannot do that. Runway girls across the seasons who cannot do that. And I think it's really interesting that she was able to create these cutouts. That meticulous work on this type of textile is very hard. She was able to create a lovely ruffle at the bottom, a twist on the mermaid skirt. I love the way that she's constructed this top. It's very seductive, it's very sexy, but it's not lewd. I just think that she did a great job translating her drag into a piece that she made. I have my cat on my lap. And I think he's decided that he's done. He like passed that threshold where he's over it. Can I say bye? All right, in the number 8 spot, we have Evie Oddly's All Glowed Up. I love this look. I love that it came very shortly after season 14, where Willow, Evie's sibling, also did, or are they daughters? Sisters? Daughters? They're related. Shortly after 14, where Willow did that interesting mushroom look that was for What Do You Worship, that Evie came out in All Glowed Up, also as a mushroom. Evie has this really big brain when it comes to the runways and her concepts. And this reminded me of Balloonlia, I think is what it's called. It's a Pokemon city in, I think it's Sword Shield. And when you go there, there's all these mushrooms that are all lit up and it's very colorful and pretty. And I thought about that with this. I think Evie is such an interesting character on Drag Race. I love the way that her brand is weird, oddball, freaky, but glam. And this captures all of that. It's a super fascinating twist on glowing, because I don't think many people would think about nature. And then I think we're getting into the Raja stretch now. So in number 7, we have Raja's I'm Crowning look. I love that Raja decided to play with gender. Raja to me is this multi-gendered, multifaceted entity. Their line in that intro verse was referred to me as thy or thou. This is just a brilliant way to start off the season and to hammer in that Raja was about to come in with looks like we had never seen before. Raja's drag doesn't exist in one dimension or one period or even one timeline. I think of Raja as someone who exists across all forms of time and space in any country. We got to see period pieces in her original season, from England to Paris to the Americas. And I think in this season, we see Raja branch out even farther and take that global lens of what her drag is and amplify that up. And this did that for me as well. In the number 6 slot, we have Raja's Realness of Fortune Eleganza look. And this is up here for the exact same reason why Trinity's was also up here. Raja isn't just a talk the talk, she's a walk the walk type of a girl. She says, I am a fashion icon. I am a fashion legend. I am a runway legend. And then she delivers on that promise. Raja doesn't just say, I'm glam, and then delivers garbage. There are so many queens that do that, as we've discussed before. Raja was able to construct this superstructural piece up here and then have all this sleekness at the bottom. The way that she achieved this without it looking cumbersome or too bulky or too messy on her, I think is really spectacular. In the number 5 spot, we have Trinity's spikes on the runway. This is in my top 10, probably of all time and space. I love this look and the interpretation of spikes. When I think spikes, my brain goes to grunge culture, where you've got those exaggerated sleeves and shoulder moments with the little stud spikes on them. I'm thinking punk rock. Never in a million years would my brain think stake to kill a vampire. Like, that would not even traverse the caverns of my mind. And that's what Trinity decided to do on this runway, is to take the word, play on it, and then go in a slightly different direction, where we saw a lot of more literal interpretations that week. I love that she's playing with blood, not only on the face, but also on the spike, even if it's not dripping or anything. Anytime the queens are willing to travel into what would be considered gore on Drag Race, I think is something to be commended. A lot of queens are afraid to do that. I love the way that it's rouged up here on the cowl, and then there's little spikes here on the necklace too. The way that it's draping in these really beautiful crystals on the waist. There's a lot of visual interest kind of everywhere, and Trinity's one of those queens where the more you look at something, the more details you see, because she puts so much thought into everything she does. I remember when she did her tribute to all the winners, and if you zoomed in on those photos and looked at the detail that went into those outfits, you could see love and care and precision And that is the same with everything in her package this whole season. And I know she had some banger looks, but this one I think is the most creative. It's not pageant. It is not glam in the way that you would associate Trinity's brand with. It's glam in its own way, but it's on the scarier side. And I say that with quotation marks because it's not scary. But for Drag Race, where girls don't do this, where they sanitize their drag to something that is very accessible for the everyday person to enjoy, that this is reaching out to a genre that is often untapped on this stage is what makes this memorable to me. And the presentation of it was just fun. I love the wordplay. It's incredible. In the number 4 spot, we have Raja's Pleather Principal Runway. I'm obsessed with this turquoise snakeskin pattern and then that cherry red jacket that's over it, and those gladiator boots are so hot. That big ass fascinator with all those feathers coming off. Something about this is very London to me. It's very street, it's edgy, it's eye-catching. Even the tights are stoned, which I don't think I've ever noticed up until this moment looking at it. I think with Raja's vibe, her vibe is just cool, and this is a cool outfit. It's also editorial as hell. You could see this posing on the cover of just about any high fashion magazine. You could see this getting its own spread in the center. Like, I would imagine sitting, flipping through the pages, and there would be 3 shots of Raja in these full page photos with a little blurb on it. Maybe a quote saying, always be nice to people with money. And then the second quote would be, institution is the same as intuitions if you're dyslexic. I love the way that this is constructed. There is so much volume built into this jacket and into this dress, and that is such a hard technique to create. It's rich. This is so rich, and we will never be on the same level as Raja, and I don't think we'll ever see anyone come on the show at the same level that Raja does drag. In the number 3 spot, we have Raja's Legendary Legends look. I put this up here for so many reasons that I've already discussed before. Raja walks the walk. She doesn't just yap about how she's a fashion girl. This was a tribute to RuPaul, and it was specifically to Born Naked. And what Raja decided to do was create a distressed look. And with this distressed look, everything looks intentional, everything looks focused, everything looks precise. And what can very oftentimes happen with distressed is it looks like a mistake after a while. When you start to shred, when you start to burn, when you start to tear, things can very quickly escalate to a place where you can't recover it anymore. You have to add in a cheeky little stitch to hide a spot that should not have ripped. You have to apply a patch where something burned that shouldn't have. You have to put a rhinestone somewhere to hide a problem. And I think that could have happened here, but you don't see any of the mistakes. It all looks purposeful. And again, that is something that is very hard to avoid with distressing. It starts to look accidental at a certain point. And I think about a couple different distressed runways that I've seen where the garments that come down look like it was just the most intentional model walked through a fire, caught flame, extinguished herself, and just kept walking. And then I've seen others where it looked like, oh no, was there a warehouse fire and you just had to present your clothes anyway because you spent the money on it. And I think this gives girl just walked through fire, patted off the flames, and just kept going. I love the way that she's created all this interest up here and on the back. It's a cool interpretation of Born Naked. It's a really fascinating take from Raja's drag, filtering that through RuPaul's drag, and then finding the Venn diagram of both of them right in the middle. And I love the way that it's styled too, with the side pony, with the way that she's done all the jewelry here as well as on the wrist. In the number 2 spot, we have Raja's grand finale eleganza. Raja, again, I know you're surprised. I mentioned earlier that I think of Raja as this global superstar. I don't think of her as being landlocked into one time or place. And what I appreciate about this is that she went into sci-fi outside of the C-3PO look that she did in season 3 and then did a redo of it later here. Raja went not only from global, but brought her brand to space and brought it to the future, to this alien mantis queen, in a way that I totally can see Raja existing here. Like if Raja was in the year 4523 and was walking in RuPaul's Drag Race season 4000, what would that alien mantis queen look like? It would look like this. I love the way that the shoulder spikes have been translated into something that is almost exoskeleton-like. She's done this twist on a peplum that has all of this interesting ruffling with, again, more structure that's built into that in a way that I can't even imagine how hard it was to create that, let alone pack it, bring it to Drag Race. The bodysuit underneath is really clean looking, and so it draws your attention to the turquoise. And I love the way that she's even adjusted her makeup to be more sci-fi. It is not just glamour. And I'm really glad that Raja was able to be on this season to show us for the last time that she is that girl, and she always will be that girl even into the future and beyond. And then the final look, which is also Raja, is Raja's Nitty Nitty Bang Bang look. I put this here for the tribute of it all. It kind of makes me nostalgic for Drag Race doing those redo your worst look runways that they did in All Stars 3 and 6. In my sincerest opinion, I wish that they would do this every single year. I love that she chose to do this for Nitty Nitty Bang Bang. Knitwear is very difficult to create because you've got all of these holes that are through your garment, and those can tear and pull and warp distress in ways that you don't want it to as it's traveled and as it is transferred from either hanger or garment bag to the next place it's going to live. And, you know, I think with doing this gold and creating this smart interpretation on something she's already done before was an interesting way to tackle knitwear. Knitwear can go elderly quickly, where Raja did not look matronly at all. She chose a color saturation that was very youthful. I love the boots with this, and I fuck with the boots. I love me a big old beautiful boot that goes all the way up to the thighs. And then this red, God, Raja looks good in red hair. We were seeing a lot of grays from her at this time, and so I think a lot of us were not sure if Raja even did regular hair colors anymore. And it was nice to see her extend into something else. Again, nice to see that she did a tribute to something she had already done before, and it was immaculately well done. And with that, that has been my top 10 favorite looks from RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 7, or as I affectionately call this list, the Raja Celebration List. What were some of your favorite looks from this season? Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and I will see y'all on the flip.